Human trafficking is a modern-day slavery, according to the Article 3 of the UN Protocol to Prevent, Suppress, and Punish Trafficking in Person. Trafficking in person is defined as the people are recruited, transported, transferred, housed and taken into force, threat, abduction, fraud, deceit, power abuse or exploitation. The situation of human trafficking in Southeast Asia in these 5 years based on our research is the problem associated with human trafficking in Southeast Asia have become more severe since the COVID-19 pandemic broke out. The main reason because of the lockdown and the social distance enforced in every country in Southeast Asia. It has become more difficult to identify illegal action and it has become even more difficult to give direct support to vulnerable population and survivors. Next is the attempt to combat human trafficking in the area of becoming less effective with time. COVID-19 not only endangers vulnerable population but also affects the government's ability to respond to rising numbers of the victims in Southeast Asia country. The situation of human trafficking in Southeast Asia in these 5 years based on our research is the problem associated with human trafficking in Southeast Asia have become more severe since the COVID-19 pandemic broke out. The main reason because of the lockdown and the social distance enforced in every country in Southeast Asia. It has become more difficult to identify illegal action and it has become even more difficult to give direct support to vulnerable population and survivors. Next is the attempt to combat human trafficking in the area of becoming less effective with time. COVID-19 not only endangers vulnerable population but also affects the government's ability to respond to rising numbers of the victims in Southeast Asia country. Thailand is a top destination for sex tourism. Thailand is the major hub for the international sex trafficking gang that reach as far as Japan, Morocco, and even Germany, says United Nations study on 2019. So what we can conclude is Thailand become the most or top destination for human trafficking in Southeast Asia country. Now I pass to Hanani to continue this presentation.
Thank you, Danish, for a great explanation. Next, I will discuss the factors that lead toward human trafficking in Southeast Asia. Lack of legitimate economic opportunities is by far one of the largest factors causing the prevalence of human trafficking. People become the victim of human trafficker mainly due to inequitable resource allocation and the absence of viable sources of income. Families lack assets and have insufficient earning. Citizens are vulnerable target due to poor living conditions and a lack of infrastructure. Desperate people are tricked into slavery in villages across Southeast Asia by false promises of labor. For example, traffickers in Myanmar Rakhine State deceive victims with promises of transportation to foreign employment market only to sell them for ransom or force them into slavery. Typically, victims are sold to other businesses and held in camps where many are murdered. Second, demand for forced labor. Forced labor can be defined as work done under duress and for exchange of a monetary reward. Human trafficking victims are frequently forced to undertake various types of work against their will where their rights and mobility are restricted. Forced labor victims are frequently utilized to fill positions in industries such as fishing, agriculture, and manufacturing at a lower cost. Fishermen who are trafficked are often worked to death, tortured, and thrown overboard in addition to being compelled to labor all over the world. People that are coerced into this sector are frequently duped into thinking the work they are accepting is genuine or they are kidnapped and forced into it. Next is conflict and natural disaster. Human traffickers use conflict and natural disaster as an opportunity to recruit victims. The trafficking of the Rohingya is clearly driven by violent conflict in Myanmar Rakhine State. Rakhine had an estimated population of 1 to 1.5 million Rohingya Muslim and 2 million Rakhine Buddhists in 2014. Since 2012, communal violence has resulted in several incidents of injury and death, as well as property destruction and the relocation of 140,000 people.
Thank you, Nojohanani. Now I will explain about the issues and problems that arise from human trafficking. Truth to be told, human trafficking has been one of the biggest issues in Southeast Asia. These issues arise due to the late progression in most countries in Southeast Asia. Since they are difficult to earn money, the people use an easy way to earn a lot of money in short amount of time. First, we will look into poverty. Poverty has played important roles in human trafficking. What exactly is poverty? Poverty is a state or condition of an individual or society that lacks financial resources and necessity for a specific level of living. So, how does human trafficking lead to poverty? Traffickers will first target their victims who live in extreme and intense poverty because they are easy to manipulate. Just by throwing sweet promises such as high salaries and easy job, it will automatically attract those poor victims. But little did they know, the money and the children that being sold off to the traffickers will never reach them back. And worse, their children who are potential breadwinner in the family will disappear forever. Next, addiction. Addiction is a drug or habit that affects your body, especially if it causes you to seek reward in unhealthy ways. Human traffickers use drugs to tie up the victim close to them. The traffickers will first distribute the drug around the victim's area that has been targeted from early. Then, after the victims became addicted to the drug and could not think straight and willing to do anything, the traffickers then start playing their plot by taking the victim as for laborers and lie about the supply of drug as payment. Then we have gang involvement. Gang involvement refers to a group of individuals, mostly adolescents, who have a common identity and engage in criminal conduct. Gang involvement exists among the traffickers' members. This illegal activity actually requires a large number of people to make sure the victims being abducted successfully, starting from kidnapping or spreading info or produce drug until the purpose activity of human trafficking. A small group of people are needed. Then we have gang involvement. Gang involvement refers to a group of individuals, mostly adolescents, who have a common identity and engage in criminal conduct. Gang involvement exists among the traffickers' members. This illegal activity actually requires a large number of people to make sure the victims being abducted successfully, starting from kidnapping or spreading info or produce drug until the purpose activity of human trafficking. A small group of people are needed.
The initiative and effort of the Asian countries to prevent human trafficking in Southeast Asia are: firstly, its increased awareness campaign; secondly, its legislation and prosecution of human trafficking offences; and thirdly, its protection of victims. The first point is Asian countries can increase awareness campaign which focusing on the most people participation of the media and important non-governmental community of organization leaders, non-profit and the private sector. These are the countries increased funding for government and non-profit shelter programs that provide specialized shelter and psychosocial care to children and men who have been victims. Moreover, Asian countries can step up effort to locate and identify aid victims of human trafficking. Besides legislation and prosecution of human trafficking offences, ASEAN is concentrating on effort to investigate suspect incident of human trafficking. Republic of the Philippines Act No. 9208 is an action taken to develop strategy at eliminating human trafficking, particularly on children and women. In order to implement this policy, the government must prioritize the act of enactment law that human dignity must be promoted, individuals must be protected from abuse and exploitation, and human trafficking must be avoided. Last but not least, protection of victims. We affirm the importance of promoting and protecting human rights for all human trafficking victims. In addition, initiated a private discussion. Others should be encouraged and empowered and believe the individual. Pay attention to what they have to say and what they are concerned about. Make an investment in their abilities and also confirm their feelings. Do not point the finger at the victim. After that, take their anxiety seriously and offer assistance. Prosecution, protection, and prevention is the 3P for the time being, the foundational a strategy in order to stop human trafficking around the entire world. Persons who have been abused can be empowered via protection so that they are not victimized again once they are reintegrated into society. Next, I will pass to the next presenter, Nur Hamizatul Shakirah binti Muhammad Sorni.
Thank you, Tuan. Now I will continue to the impact of human trafficking. First is individuals. Individuals are affected by the impacts of human trafficking in many aspects of their life. Before being trafficked, victims of human trafficking often face abuse, exploitation, poverty, and bad health. Their experience as victims of crime have only added to their suffering. Human trafficking, unlike other kinds of violent crime, frequently leads to a long-term and recurring trauma. All types of human trafficking have negative consequences due to the crime's harsh and exploitative aspects consequent for those involved. Second is politics. Human trafficking has now grown to the point that influences the internal and international policy in most countries where the issues has gained prominence. Human trafficking requires the movement of humans over international borders. Hence, migration policy is one of the most contentious issues. Just a concept as an objection to irregular migration, government have strengthened border restriction in response to the growth in human trafficking. As a result, borders controls has been strengthened and law enforcement has been stepped up. Last is economic. When quantifying the economic consequence of human trafficking, the problem in quantifying its effect are most apparent. The worth of all resources spent on its prevention, treatment and assistance of victims and the detection and punishment of criminals are all factors in calculating the cost of human trafficking. However, human trafficking also leads to a loss of human resources and a drop in tax income. Human trafficking results in permanent human resources deficit as well as bankruptcy. Based on tax evasion and financial crimes, human trafficking produces no tax revenue and in extreme cases could result in total loss. That's all from me. I will pass to Aisha to continue the presentation.
Southeast Asia is a still major hub for human trafficking. The region is both a source and a destination country for men, women, and children forced to work and engage in these sad trades. It also serves as a stopovers for traffickers from other parts of the world. While some countries such as Thailand and the Philippines strive to improve, others sadly deteriorate. ASEAN must reconsider its strategy because human trafficking cannot be combated alone. Look Campaign is a national public awareness campaign designed to educate the public, law enforcement and other industry partners to recognize the indicators of human trafficking and how to appropriately respond to possible cases. Can help increase awareness about human trafficking by serving as student leader. Students can use the Higher Education Student Advocate Toolkit. The toolkit includes suggestions and tools for engaging with the school and community to raise human trafficking awareness. There are also posters to put out in dorms, public space, on campus, and around town. As a student leader, they have a unique position to educate and engage individuals on the campus and in their community to help combat human trafficking. They can utilize the toolkit's tools and tips to raise awareness of the horrible crime and help bring it to the light. Next, students can form a students' organization to educate people about human trafficking and how to combat it. They can collaborate with campus organizations to sponsor an event, or they can work with fraternities, sororities, and other students' organizations to make human trafficking training mandatory for their members. Exchange Youth can be expert fundraisers, give a child the opportunity to have a childhood free of violence and sexual exploitation. Expert will use the funds to develop education and preventive materials for young people.